So, Sydney, you can read the book summary.
Okay. In our class, we are reading a book called Dear Martin by Nick Stone. It is about a 17-year-old boy named Justice who is trying to help his ex-girlfriend get home from a party by taking her keys away due to being under the influence of alcohol. A cop stops Justice as he was trying to help her and assumes he was doing something wrong without asking what he was doing. He was then handcuffed for several hours. This causes Justice to see the world differently. In addition, he has several instances with his peers that continue to make comments about his success and how it's only contributed to his race. Throughout the book, Justice starts writing letters to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In the letters, he explains what happens to him and his feelings about the racial injustice happening in the world. Justice is motivated to make a difference for once and for all. He wants to make better decisions and wants to be more like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In our section of the book this week, Justice and his best friend, Manny, go for a car ride and decide to turn up the music. While at a stoplight, another driver proceeds to yell at them to turn off the music. The boys choose to ignore the driver, but the driver then pulls out a gun and fires into Manny's car. Manny is killed on the way to the hospital and Justice in critical condition, but lives.
Okay, so when Justice was trying to get his drunk ex-girlfriend, he was helping his drunk ex-girlfriend get home safely, and as he was putting her in the back of the car, he heard sirens. The police threw him on the back of the car before he had a chance to explain what was going on. The officer arrested him because he thought he was up to no good. The officer that put Justice into handcuffs thought he was up to no good because he was black. What stereotypes have you experienced?
With police officers or just...
Just in general.
Oh. Well, there's a lot of, like, racial injustice in the world, and I experience it every day. Like, I don't have any police brutality, like them putting their hands on me, but I have had a lot of stop and frisk things happen to me. One time I was out past dark, and I was 8th grade, and I wasn't hanging with the best people, but I wasn't doing anything wrong, and I had left early because it was my curfew, and the police were, scouting around, and I was walking home alone, and they just stopped and frisked me. Where are you going? Where you been? I saw somebody smoking over there by the football field. Was that you? Like, police do target certain people, and it's happened to me, so it can happen anywhere. But that's the only police one I've had. I've had it done to me a few times, but that's usually what they say to me. It's not them putting their hands on me and taking me against my will. But my brother Anthony, one time he had a backpack on, and he was walking away because the police were coming to question a whole bunch of his friends. And he was like, I'm out. I don't want to be a part of this. And he starts walking away, and the police officer is like, where are you going? Let me see your backpack. And they take his backpack off of him. Anthony said no. Take his backpack off of him, search his backpack, find some gym clothes and some wrappers. They chose Anthony out of all the kids there to stop and take his backpack off. Oh, you can't. But, so this is, that didn't happen to me, but it affected me because my brother came home, as you can imagine, angry. And, I don't know, it just didn't seem fair to me. Didn't seem right. Out of all the kids, he chose the black kid to pick on. So, it's just something that happens, something you have to deal with when you're a minority of any sort. So.
What advice would you give to young kids who are going to grow up in a world of racial tensions or stereotypes, possibly your own kids or younger siblings or family members?
I've thought about my own kids a lot, honestly. I don't know who I'm going to marry and who I'm going to have kids with. But if they do end up dark, which they will, because I'm brown, but I don't know what I would say to them. Because when I was a kid, I thought that I was white. I grew up in an all-white neighborhood. I thought that all the kids were equal, and I thought that Jessica with the cute little blonde curls was just the same as me. I just thought that she was the same. Like, who cares? But then, parents wouldn't let me hang out with their kids. And I couldn't like the boys that I liked because I was black. Like, that hit me at a young age. I was like, whoa, I'm not the same as all of you guys, you know? And I don't want my kids to go through that. So I'm going to have to sit down and to explain to them that the world isn't fair and that you're not always going to get what you want and you're going to get mistreated and you're going to get picked on and you're going to go through all this shit because you have more melanin in your body than a white person. That's the only reason. And because you have different ethnicity, you have a different culture. Like, I'm going to have to sit down and I'm going to have to tell them that your life is going to be way harder than your neighbors. Okay? That's all I'm going to have to say. So.
Alright, in the story, Justice's mom taught him how to interact with a police officer if he ever encountered one. Did your parents do the same, or whoever your guardian is?
My grandma, she's kind of a blunt person. So whenever we started getting older and making mistakes, as in friend groups, because everybody makes mistakes in friend groups. You always end up getting in the bad group and you're like, oh God, but I like them, Mom, you know? But me, Gabe, and Anthony have all gotten mixed up in the wrong friend group at one point or another. And my grandma she was really blunt about it. She's like, so if your friends take you to go vandalize a house and the police catch you, who is the white kid gonna blame? And even though we thought it was so mean, so harsh, like we were like, Grandma, what? That's mean. It's true. The police officer is going to get me first. So, like, that's something that I always that was always in the back of my head. If I was ever gonna do something stupid with my friends, I was like, should I? Am I gonna get caught? What are they gonna do when we get caught? Like, you know what I mean? That's something I had to, like, my grandma, like, drilled into my brain. Like, don't do anything illegal. Like, because you're gonna get caught. You're the one who's gonna go to jail, not the white kid. You know? So that was just something I learned young. So.
In the book, they're having a debate in Justice. Our character got singled out because it was about black people. Do you ever feel singled out in class about your race?
All the time. You know, whenever I was, like, very little, it didn't bother me as much because I didn't really know. Like, I didn't know I was black. Like, I told you this, like, I thought I was just the same as everybody else, you know? So I didn't really think about it whenever class discussions would happen and we'd talk about segregation and Martin Luther King and all that stuff. I just kind of, like, it's like, oh, you know, just black rights, you know, whatever. But as I got older, I started getting discrimination and prejudice every day of my life, all of the time. And in class, we'd be talking about segregation or something, and the teacher would make dead eyes at me, or the class would, like, look at me, or, like, single me out. Even now, I'm being singled out as the only black person in the school to come talk to you. I mean, you know, but me and Miss Bonner have a close relationship, so this is why I came, and she knew I felt comfortable talking about it. But if it was any other school, you'd probably get kicked in the face. But, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just something I have to deal with.
Do you think police are more brutal to people of color? If so, what are your thoughts on police brutality?
A lot of police officers would argue that no. like we treat everybody equally, but it's not true. I think police brutality is something that is hopefully going to change, because there's been so many riots and stuff. Like, I don't know, it hurts my feelings because I'm like a straight A student. I work hard, I keep clean, you know, I don't do anything wrong, but I'm most likely gonna get pulled over more than you are, or you are. You know, I'm gonna have to deal with that, and police brutality is a thing, and they do kill a lot of black people. Black police officers kill black people. That's not in the news, but something that happens. So.
In the book, Justice turns to writing to MLK Jr. in his diary to help him cope. Since you're a local artist, does art play a role in your life during like times of racial tensions or stereotypes, or just do it for fun?
I love art. Yeah, I always try to stay away from racial topics when I'm doing art, because if I hang something in the hallway that is a little like Black Lives Matter or something like that, I feel my peers would get very judgy towards me. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because I've had these discussions with my classmates all the time. They're like, why isn't all lives matter? Well, because at the time, police were beating the shit out of black people. That's why we made Black Lives Matter. That's the reason it's called Black Lives Matter, not All Lives Matter, because everything is going back the way it was. We made that slogan because Black Lives Matter, you know? I'm tired of everybody thinking that it's all lives matter, because yes, all lives matter. Minorities matter. All minorities matter. But we made that because there was so much rioting and like everything, Nazi parties coming out of nowhere. Like, just because we do have somebody in office right now who sparked that, you know? He sparked up the neo-Nazis to come back out, and, you know, we lost a black president, you know? So, I mean, if I would have put something like that in the hallway, I feel like they would judge me in a way. And, I mean, I do use my art to, like, blow off some steam, but I usually write about it. Shoot. I write a lot in a journal. So that's how I get rid of the frustration.
In the book Dear Martin, our character was being told there was no way he got into Yale before a white person because he is black and they are not as smart. Are people assuming things about your ability to get into a good college specifically because of your race?
I don't think so. I mean, I try to come off as intelligent as I possibly can. When I was little, I had problems like tracking, like words in a book. Like, I couldn't track the words. And my teachers, they all thought I was just stupid. They all thought, well, your granddaughter just can't read. And so finally, the school nurse wasn't racist. So she called my grandma up. She's like, take her to an eye doctor. You know? And finally they took me to an eye doctor, and magically I was just getting A's. I was reading perfectly. I was catching up to all the kids in my class. I was scoring higher than the kids in my class. So, yes, I've experienced it, but growing up, my grandma made me watch a lot of movies, like where black women were the main role, and they were professional, and they were dressed nice, and they were smart. They weren't stereotyped. You know, I watched a lot of